Very good morning to everyone. And I want to ask you something that nobody usually asks at this stage of life. You've worked hard, and I'm sure all of us who are here are either in our 40s, 50s, or 60s, right? So we have a long experience at our back. So I can say you raised families, built careers, kept homes running, taken care of parents, managed crises, shown up again and again and again. And you've done all the things you're supposed to do. So here is my question. Are you successful? So notice what just happened in your head. Some of you might be just started running a checklist. House, oh yes, children, settled, more or less, retirement, sorted, working on it. Bank balance, oh, let's not discuss that right now. Some of you felt a strange quiet ache, like the question touched something that doesn't quite have an answer yet. And some of you, if you're really honest, felt a small private sadness because somewhere between everything you've achieved and everything you were told achievement should feel like there's a gap. And nobody talks about that gap. So today, we talk about that gap. So we are talking about creating your own definition of success 2.0, not the definition you inherited, not the one society handed you at 25, a new one, an honest one that actually fits the person you are right now. Because success without alignment feels empty. If you want, you can note it down. Success without alignment feels empty. So it's a beautiful thought, but it hits hard. Most of us were handed a definition of success before we were old enough to question it. It came from parents, teachers, relatives, neighbors, Bollywood, comparison, and that one aunt who always knew exactly how your life was falling short. People always have something to say. Thus the phrase, log kya sochenge, log kya kahenge. And the definition usually went something like this. Good marks, good college, good job, good marriage, good house, good children, retirement, and then done. And for many of us, we climbed that ladder faithfully, dutifully, rung by rung. And then one day, sometimes in our 40s or sometimes our 50s, and sometimes not until our 60s, we looked around from wherever we had climbed to and felt something unexpected. Not joy, not satisfaction, but a quiet, disorienting thought. Is this it? That feeling is not failure. That feeling is wisdom. It is your inner compass, finally loud enough to be heard, telling you the map you have been following, it was someone else's map. You know, just imagine a mountaineer, experienced, fit, determined. She has studied the route for years, packed her equipment carefully, trained her body and her mind. She begins to climb. It's hard, brutally, beautifully hard. Every step costs something. She slips, she recovers, she pushes on. She endures weather and doubt and exhaustion and the weight of the pack on her back. And then one morning, After years and years of climbing, she reaches the summit. And through the mist, she sees on the mountain directly across from her the view she actually wanted, the one she had seen in her dreams, the sunrise over the valley, the particular quality of light she had always been climbing toward. She climbed perfectly. She climbed heroically. She climbed the wrong mountain. So, no amount of effort on the wrong mountain gets you the right view. Success without alignment, without it being your mountain, your summit, your definition of what the view should look like, is just a very well executed wrong turn. The good news, at any age, you can look up, you can look across, and you can ask honestly and without self pity, is this still the mountain I want to be on? So let me share a few relatable examples that I always do every day. So this is Sunita ji, 60. She raised three children, kept a meticulous home, supported her husband through two career changes and one serious illness, and was by every external measure the picture of a successful Indian woman. But Sunita ji had a secret she carried quietly for decades. She had always wanted to paint, not as a hobby, as something real. She had talent. Her children's school teacher had said so once, 30 years ago, and she had never forgotten it. Every time someone asked what she did, she said, Ghar sambhalti ho. I manage the home. She never once said, I'm someone who should have been painting. At 60, her youngest child left for a job in another city. The house went quiet, and Sunita ji did something extraordinary in its simplicity. She bought a set of paints, the first time in 40 years. She didn't enroll in an exhibition, of course. She didn't announce anything. She just painted every morning for herself. 6 months later, at a community event, someone saw her work and asked if they could display it. She said yes. And standing next to her paintings in public for the first time in 61 years old, Usha ji said to her daughter, This is the first time in my life I feel like a success on my own terms. She had been successful for decades, but this was different. This was hers. Then Ananya, she's 48, corporate lawyer, sharp, sought after, billing more hours than she cares to count. And by her firm's definition of success, she is at the top. But by her own definition, the one she recently, reluctantly started listening to, she is profoundly tired. Not of work, not of law, of the version of success she's been living. The one that requires her to be available at 10 p.m., to miss her mother's medical appointments, to feel guilty every time she pauses. At 48, Ananya did something her 25-year-old self would have considered unthinkable. She took a 6 month sabbatical. No clients, no briefs, no billable hours. And what did she do? She spent 2 of those months helping set up a legal aid clinic in her city, something she's been planning to do for 15 years. She spent 1 month learning to cook properly, which she'd always been ashamed of. She spent 1 month doing absolutely nothing, which turned out to be the hardest and most valuable of all. So when she returned to practice on her own terms, with her own hours, her own clients, she told a colleague, I used to define success as how much I could take on. Now I define it as how clearly I can choose what matters. Same skill, same talent, but completely different mountain. And now, let me tell you about Sudhir. He's a retired IAS officer, 35 years of distinguished service, files moved, policies shaped, genuine public good done. A career that, by any standard, matters. But Sudhir retired and found himself quietly lost in a way he hadn't anticipated and would not admit for the first year. His identity had been his designation for so long that without it, he wasn't sure who he was. His success had been defined entirely by external markers, the rank, the power, the difference in others' voices when they spoke to him. And when those were gone, the silence was deafening. His granddaughter, studying psychology, asked him once, Dada, if you had no title and no past achievements, who would you be? What would make you feel like you were living well? He thought about it for 3 days, seriously, and like he would think about a policy problem. His answer surprised him. He wanted to teach, not in a formal school, just young people from his neighborhood who were the first in their families to navigate government systems, scholarship applications, career choices. He knew that world intimately. He could help. He started a small weekly group. 8 young people the first week, 34 by the end of the year. Success 2.0 for Sudhir. Not power, but purpose. Not deference, but genuine usefulness. Not what he had done, but what he was still becoming. He told his granddaughter, I spent my whole career being important. I never knew it could feel this different to be needed. So here is what society's definition of success almost always gets wrong. It is fixed, external, and borrowed. So let's rewrite it. Because fixed means it doesn't count for the fact that you are not the same person at 55 that you were at 25. Your needs have changed, your values have deepened. What once felt urgent may now feel hollow. What once seemed indulgent may now feel essential. A good definition of success must grow with you. An external, it measures you by things outside your control and outside your inner life. Titles, possessions, others' opinions. A definition anchored entirely outside yourself is one you can never fully own because it can always be taken away, always be compared, always be found wanting. And borrowed, it was written by someone else for someone else's life. Your parents' dreams, your community's expectations, your generation's script, useful as a starting point and catastrophic as a permanent address. So, your version, Success 2.0, must be built on three foundations. One, peace. Yes, not the absence of challenge, but the presence of alignment. Waking up and doing things that are genuinely yours, your values, your pace, your version of a good day. Growth, not upward in a hierarchy, but inward, deepening, becoming more of who you actually are, rather than more of what is expected. And number three, freedom, the quiet power of to choose, to say yes to what matters and no to what doesn't, to stop performing a version of your life for an audience that isn't even watching closely. So, the most important rewrite you'll ever do is not a CV update, it is the quiet, honest, courageous act of asking, what does success look like for me right now at this stage in this life? So, let us do our daily exercise. Right now, I want you to pick a pen with the generosity and honesty you would offer your closest friend. Offer it to yourself instead. Complete the sentence. Not with what sounds impressive, not with what your family would approve of, but with what is actually genuinely true for you today. Please write it. Success for me now means, please complete it. I repeat, success for me now means, now it might be success for me now means sleeping without anxiety or having 1 hour a day that belongs entirely to me or being present with my grandchildren without my phone in my hand or even using the talent I buried for 40 years. It might feel small compared to what you used to write, but that is not smallness. That is wisdom. The older we get, the more we understand that the richest lives are often built on the simplest, most honest foundations. Please write it, read it, and keep it. Because this is not a wish, it is a direction. So, you're not too late. You're exactly on time. There's a quiet lie that midlife and beyond is the time to settle, to accept what is, to stop wanting, to be grateful and still. And gratitude and stillness are beautiful things, but they are not the same as giving up on becoming. The people in the world who seem most alive at 60, at 70, at 80 are not the ones who achieve the most by 35. They are the ones who never stopped asking, what does a good life look like for me right now? They rewrote the definition again and again with courage, with honesty, and the particular wisdom that only comes from having lived. You have that wisdom, all of it. You have earned every bit of it. So now use it, not to look back at the mountains you have already climbed, but to look across at the one that is still quietly calling your name. So this week, I want you to do one thing with the sentence you just wrote. Share it with one person you trust, not to get their approval, not to ask if it's good enough, simply to say it out loud, because the things we say out loud becomes more real than the things we keep inside. Tell a spouse, a friend, a child, a sibling. Say, I've been thinking about what success looks like for me now. And I think it looks like this. And then listen to yourself. Say it. Because often we don't know what we truly believe until we hear our own voice believe it out loud. So the first version of your success was written for you, and this one is written by you. And that makes all the difference. So, with that thought, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Thank you.